We'll be happy to take any questions. Yeah.
Have Republicans decided what H.R. 1 will be, and if so, what is it?
Yeah, we're going to be bringing bills to the floor early off in a Republican House majority that would actually confront the problems families are facing, like energy costs, like inflation, like border security, like security in communities. You know, we see out of control crime in communities all across America because Democrats embrace this crazy defund the police movement, and also now the no cash bail movement that is literally putting criminals back out on the streets committing more crimes in communities. So we're going to be bringing bills to the floor on all of those. We'll ultimately decide what those first 5 or 10 bills would be, but you're going to see a very active first 100 days of a Republican House majority working for American families, not growing the size of Washington, creating problems like we've seen under Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you. Can I ask you about the Select Committee hearing tomorrow on nursing home deaths?
Yes.
Have you heard back from former New York Governor Cuomo? And then what can we expect from this hearing tomorrow?
Yeah, we've invited him. I've reached out going back over a year ago when we first exposed this scandal, where starting with New York, at the time Governor Cuomo issued an order. And again, New York is the regulator for nursing homes in New York. So as the regulator, the governor mandated that if somebody was in a hospital that was from a nursing home, they had to go back to the nursing home. And then this is where it really caused devastating deaths that never should have happened. He mandated that the nursing homes cannot test people for COVID. So he blocked them from testing for COVID, made them take people who were COVID positive back from hospitals into a nursing home environment, even if they didn't have the ability to separate COVID positive from non-COVID patients. And we saw thousands and thousands of deaths in nursing homes that never should have happened, a national scandal. And it happened in other states because they took, in many cases, New Jersey, Michigan, took the New York mandate and almost cookie-cutter copied and pasted it and put it in policy in their states against the CDC guidelines. So we're going to be pointing all this out again tomorrow at the hearing. I know Elise will be there as well, along with Marinette Miller-Meeks, who is not only a member of the subcommittee, but it was a health director in Iowa. So she really understands what the science should have been, and those states that went against the science led to thousands of nursing home deaths in their states that never should have happened. It's a disgrace. And I don't know if they want to touch on it. Yeah.
I just want to add, as representative from the state of New York, I've spoken to constituents directly who have lost their loved ones because of the fatal and illegal executive order that Governor Cuomo put out. But I also want to point out, we know Governor Cuomo was the worst governor in America, but his sitting lieutenant governor, Kathy Hochul, she also needs to be held accountable for this. She promised nursing home family members that they would have a fulsome investigation. She has failed on that promise. This is one of many reasons why she is bottoming out in terms of her approval ratings. And certainly my constituents, who these are very tragic stories, these are heartfelt, really cries out for your elected officials to make sure this never happens again. Our sitting governor has absolutely failed the people of New York, and I look forward to attending as a member. Even though I'm not on the select committee, I intend to ask questions on behalf of my constituents.
Marinette might add to that too.
You know, I think that what we're looking at is a real tragedy. We had clear guidance from the CDC very early in March, and there are public health officials in every state that give guidance. We know, I'm a physician, pediatricians will separate it. For those of you who have children, if you go into a pediatrician's office, there's a side for the well kids and there's a side for the sick kids. We know how to deal with this. So to force nursing homes to take back the highest risk group for mortality and for death, to take them back into a facility where you're already trying to keep patients safe, people safe by your guidance for your employees, your protective equipment, your testing your employees, to bring people back, not allow them to be tested, is even more extreme. That created a problem. Other states did not do this. They did not act in the same way. But New York, New Jersey, Michigan are the most egregious in their actions, and there absolutely needs to be investigation. Kathy Hochul, Governor Hochul, needs to be held accountable for what she promised to families in New York. But this is an issue that we all need to address when we look at the response to the pandemic.
Thanks, Marinette and Elise.
Some Freedom Caucus sources who said that they're pushing for some pretty substantial conference rules changes next year. And I was wondering if leadership, vacate the chair, changes the steering, majority of amenable to any of that they're advocating for.
Yeah, you see this every 2 years. There's always a robust discussion about, what the rules should be. Again, we can't put the cart before the horse. We have to win a majority to have that ability to have that discussion. And I think all of us, including the members of the Freedom Caucus, have been very focused on what it's going to take to stay focused on winning the majority, and then let's go have that discussion. We're well aware of some of the things they've proposed, and every 2 years we always make some changes to the rules. We've been talking, by the way, and in the commitment, you're going to see this. We're going to make some very dramatic improvements over how the House of Representatives operates so that the people can have more input, so that the representatives of the people actually have to show up for work and do their job. We will end proxy voting. People, we've got many votes, big votes. We're over 100 members of Congress weren't even here in person voting. That will change under a House Republican majority, and those types of things will be in the commitment to America.
So Democrats are saying that they're seeing their momentum turn around with, President Biden's, slightly improved polling, as well as Roe v. Wade being a motivator for voters. How confident are you in terms of getting, this red wave that we've been hearing about for several months, and are you concerned about being able to pick up as many seats as you once expected to?
Yeah, it seems like when you get about 2 months away from an election, Democrats always try to create what I would call fomentum. You saw it 2 years ago, and gee whiz, Nancy Pelosi was going to flip 15 or 20 more seats to the Democrat side, and they tried to create that fomentum on the left, and what ended up happening, we flipped 15 seats from Democrat to Republican. What I see, and I've traveled to over 30 districts just in the last few months, I see tremendous excitement and enthusiasm for our great candidates on the Republican side. People are very disenchanted with what the Democrats have done, having the House, Senate, and White House, and moving so far to the left. Joe Biden didn't campaign saying he was going to be a socialist, but he's allowed the socialists to control the agenda to the point where we're seeing inflation at record levels. We're seeing energy costs and food costs at record levels, and people are angry about that. And we've talked about a better way, talked about a better America solving some of these problems that they've created, and people are responding. I think the idea that we're going to be rolling out a true agenda similar to the contract with America that energized a lot of people, not just Republicans. I'm seeing Democrats and independents excited about our agenda when we talk about it, saying we're going to actually not just run against what they've done to ruin the country, we're going to talk about what we're going to do to solve it if we're able to get a Republican House. So you're going to see that rolled out, and I think you're going to see a lot of enthusiasm on our side. And with great candidates, we have opportunities to flip seats in states we haven't won in. New England, we don't have a single Republican in all the New England states. There's very competitive races in at least 5 New England states right now. You're seeing Oregon go to the other side of the country on the West Coast, Oregon and Washington, opportunities to flip seats, and everywhere in between. So we'll do one more in the back. I know you get the last question. We haven't even seen the bill. I actually asked Steny Hoyer at the colloquy last week if that was, first of all, government funding, and let's keep this in mind, government funding expires on September 30th, just a few days away, and Democrats who control the House, Senate, and White House still haven't filed a bill to stave off a government shutdown. So I don't know if Nancy Pelosi wants a government shutdown, but she surely hasn't filed a bill with just a handful of legislative days left to stave that off. But I asked him if this unknown deal that was supposedly cut between Chuck Schumer and Democrats and Joe Manchin was going to be included in it, and the majority leader kind of indicated that that was a Senate deal, not even House Democrats as part of that deal. So you'll have to ask the Democrats in the House, do they consider themselves part of the deal that the Democrats in the Senate cut with Joe Manchin? But regardless, we haven't seen a bill. I want to see major permitting reform for America, not just for one state. If it's good enough for one state, it should be good enough for reforms for all states so that we can get our energy production back on track to lower gas prices and other costs. So we're going to continue to push for those policies while they play political games and flirt with a government shutdown. So thank you all. Appreciate you coming out.